Today
hmm
we're going to talk to Sue Lee, who is a coach from Birmingham, UK. Hopefully I said that right. And Sue is a coach that I've connected up with in a training program that the both of us were doing. And I'll turn it over to you, to Sue. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll get into today's fun client perspective questions, where I'm going to hit you with some questions that a potential client would probably ask you when you were talking to them, and off the cuff. So we'll see what you have to say. But let's tell me a little bit about yourself first.
Okay, so yeah, I'm a British-born Chinese second generation immigrant born in the UK, just north of Birmingham. I did my undergraduate degree in applied biosciences at a university in Bristol. I got a PhD in microbiology as well. And I went through some life experiences which involved a separation from my kid's father, which led me to the point where I got to a rock bottom. And then through my own healing and personal development, I came to the realization that I really wanted to become a life coach and help support other people through their transitional periods as well. So I absolutely love coaching, and I've been doing it for a couple of years, certified, and I really love helping men in particular, because I
Mm.
think that men don't get a lot of support out there, especially if you're heteronormative, white male. You're assumed to be okay, you're assumed to be privileged, therefore there's not a lot of support out there for
Mm.
a lot of guys. So I'm very passionate about men's mental health, being a single parent to two young boys as well. I just like to be an ally for men. So I coach men, especially in transitional moments such as about to hit 30, about to hit 40. But I also support women as well. A lot of women resonate with my story, having gone through divorce or some sort of pivotal moment in their lives. So I really just love supporting everyone.
That's great. And I think I can totally agree with that. I mean, there's a great feeling of for me anyways, a great feeling of gratitude, being able to serve and then just share some of the challenges that I've been through, and how I was able to get through them. And hearing your story about splitting up with your children's father, and the challenges that come along with that, I'm sure it gives you a lot of perspective, which is unfortunately becoming common, but not a lot of resources for such a common thing, right? It's
Yeah.
divorce is climbing, but yet there's not a lot of help on how to, one, maybe when you get in a new relationship, how do you not get divorced? Or two, if you are going through divorce, how do you get through it healthfully? And how do you maintain
Mm,
a healthful relationship with like the father of your children, for instance? And so it's
mhm.
awesome that you have that perspective. Um,
Yeah.
and I say that just because I divorced from my kid's mother, and it was not pleasant, like you hear it, right? It was very volatile, and I just wish there was a little bit of resources back then to help me through that transition better. But
Mm,
um, so as I said, we're going to do something kind of new. I pulled 5 or 8 of my clients just the last couple of days on, what would be some questions you would ask a coach that you were thinking of working with? And part of the reason why we're connecting is because I want to find other coaches that I can refer to. And so, Sue, I'm going to throw these questions at you, and really excited to hear how you answer. And the first
okay.
question, we'll just jump right in. The first question is, what can I expect from coaching?
Okay. So from coaching, you can expect to have a vision held for you. So, and then we would get you from where you are now to where you want to be. So it differs slightly from other things like therapy, for example, or a mentor, because the coach encourages you to unpick your thoughts yourself and pull the answers out of yourself. The answers are already within you, and we support you to get to where you want to be. It's a very self-empowering process where
Mm.
you realize that you have the answers within yourself. You become more aligned with your core values, aligned with your intuition, and really manifest what it is that you actually want. You actually put that into motion. So that's where I would guide you. I can share with you my experiences, I can share with you resources, I can give my opinions, but at the end of the day, it all comes down to you and what you want. You can take or leave what I have to say. Whereas with mentoring or consulting, for example, they tell you what to do. And with therapy, they just sit and listen. So that's like the kind of very quick way of saying that's what you can expect from coaching, to
Mm,
be
yeah.
challenged as well, to be stretched and challenged.
Mm, yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And I like that perspective. I had a question for you. What, just on that, like, what about clients that, maybe get stuck or don't really have that ability to believe that they have the answers within themselves? How do you bring that out of them? And this is not a question that came, it's just something that popped in my head as you were talking. So I'm throwing it right at you.
Yeah, yeah. I think that it will naturally come up when they're given that safe space. When you build that relationship with the client, the trust is there over time and it's built, and you offer your experiences as well, and you give them that space to just talk openly, to have that space. So many people come to me and they say, I've never actually been listened to like this before. You know,
Mm,
to be actually heard, to be seen, to hold that mirror up and reflect back to them. It does come up. It does come up like what they really think, what they really feel. It might take some time, and it might take some time for them to become confident in saying that is actually how I feel. That is actually what I think. But given time and given that encouragement, and as an objective person, this is where we are helpful. We can pick out moments where they said, "Oh, you just stopped yourself from talking there. What did you actually want to say?" You know,
right.
and you
Yeah.
wouldn't notice
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
having conversations with friends who aren't trained to listen out for things like that, or friends or family who might just want to give their perspective. They wouldn't reflect back what they've just seen. They might not even have noticed it. And obviously subconsciously you can just stop yourself from saying something because it's so conditioned within you that you don't realize that you stopped yourself from saying something. So yeah, like as a coach, we have skills in order to draw that out of you gently, sometimes challengingly, depends on the client.
Yeah. No, that's great. And if I'm hearing you right, it's really about creating a place of safety for someone to be
Mhm.
able to express what they're going through.
Yeah, absolutely. Judgment free zone, and giving them the space to just talk it out and to be reflected as well.
Great. Thank you. All right. The next question I have is, which kind of ties into what we just talked a little bit, but how do you help someone who feels stuck or unsure of their goals?
Mm. Yeah, that's a difficult one. And sometimes it's a case of, you know, just really giving them some worksheets to go through. For example, some people don't realize what their core values are or their emotional needs or their purpose. They feel completely lost. And that's a really good starting point. If they really don't know where they want to be or where they want to go, they just feel stuck and a bit lost. I start them off with that, finding out more about themselves, learning about themselves, reconnecting back with themselves. So I kind of take them back to perhaps childhood and say, what was it that brought you joy? Do you remember? Like what kind of things? Where do you feel really free? And then working through core values and emotional needs and things like that really helps, because then that they become more aware of who they actually are. They get used to learning about themselves and being open to saying it's okay that I have these needs and I have these core values. They might differ to other people, but these are mine,
Yeah.
you know. And so that's a great starting point. And then conversations will ensue, like stuff will come up during their day-to-day lives as well that they might want to discuss in a session if they're having a particularly challenging moment. And even things like that just reveals a little bit more about them, and then I can reflect that back to them as well. And as we learn more about their person, then they might formulate, actually, I don't like my job. I want to do this instead because actually, this is what I've always enjoyed at childhood and this is what's always brought me joy. So then they become a bit more familiar about what they want, who they actually are. And then from there, they formulate goals and revision.
I love it. I really like how you are touching on the the idea of joy. It's something that I always bring into my practice is, how do you play, right? And how do you play, you know, a lot of people, especially as we become adults, we're kind of told not to play, but I think it's so important to be able to connect. And I know something you mentioned when we were talking earlier about dancing and getting back into dancing and those types of things. It's really the ultimate creative expression that we have with this physical body is to be able to play and enjoy our environment. So that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, humans forget to, especially men, forget how to be sometimes because we're all in our heads, very in our masculine energy, doing, ticking
Yeah.
boxes off. And sometimes we forget, and society conditions us to just do, to be productive, to be consumers rather than to enjoy being. And actually,
Yeah.
humans, we are animals at the end of the day. We can just be and to play. And that's when we feel most free a lot of the time. And some people have lost touch with who they actually are, what makes them feel free, what they do actually enjoy.
Yeah. Yeah. And sorry, I really was listening to you, but there's this stupid bug flying around and I'm trying to get rid of it. And I don't know if my hand was flicking, but I
Okay.
totally agree. It and I like the touching on men is, we're always trying to fix shit. We always,
Mm,
oh, I'll just fix it. I'll just fix it. I'll just fix it. And I was just talking to a client earlier, just before this call, and he's like, I just want to solve everything. And I'm like, yeah, but sometimes it just doesn't get solved. You just have to follow the path
yeah.
and let that be. So, next question: how do you tailor your coaching? Let me just double check this. Yeah, how do you tailor your coaching to fit different personalities and needs?
Really tune into what would work for that particular client and offer them resources and support that suits them. For
Mm,
example, if someone works shifts or they have different rotas and they can't stick to like the same fortnightly session every Monday night at 5:30, then and they
mm,
need to just book in when they want, then I give them a link and they can book in when they want.
mm,
Some people who I actually have on my onboarding form, like, do you like to be told things directly or do you like the more softly approach? So I know how directly to speak to a client, how much they
mm,
like to be challenged. Some people respond better to a full on challenge and like being brought accountable in a really direct way, in a bold way. Some people would find that too harsh and then they would withdraw and kind of go into themselves and not respond well to that, and they need a more gentle kind of suggestive approach. And so yeah, it's really just getting to know the client, asking the right questions, such as how direct do you like to be told things, um, getting to know their lifestyle and how their personalities. I often get my clients to do a personality test as well, so that's
okay.
always quite helpful. Um, yeah, and then tailor resources and my coaching accordingly.
Mm. Do you find, and this is again just a question that popped up more from a curiosity perspective, is do you find that when you start working with clients, if you've worked with them for a while and they create some sort of momentum and start to get more in tune with themselves and their boundaries and their needs and things like that, do you find that the tactics or things that you started with have to evolve as they start to become stronger in their identity?
Yeah, and that's a great thing when that does happen. And it
Mm,
challenges me as a coach and up levels my skills as a coach and allows me to keep learning. It allows me to
yeah,
put a lot of things that I learn into practice and implement new skills, create new resources for them, create new challenges for them. And it's a great thing. I wouldn't want my client to be the same person they were 6 months ago when they started, because then I haven't done my job properly. You know, I'd
yeah,
want them to progress. I'd want them to become more confident, to become more adept at facing challenges and open to learning new things.
yeah. That's great. Awesome.
Hmm.
Next question is, what's the biggest transformation you've seen in one of your clients?
Oh, so one of my recent clients actually, he came to me because he had been in a on-off relationship with his girlfriend for a while, good few years, And
Mhm.
when he came to me, he couldn't really see life without her. He was very much like, how do I win her back? Like, what do I have to do? Like, he wanted to work with me because he wanted the secrets of the female mind, so that he could figure out, like, how do I date
Yeah.
her? How do I woo her? How do I get her back? And actually, I mean, we're still only like halfway through our sessions, not even halfway, I don't think. And now he's at the point where he thought, I don't need a partner who doesn't want me. Actually, she's not suited to me. I could be so much happier with someone else. Actually, I'm going
Mm.
to be happy single and I'll be okay. And he said, I didn't think this was possible. So a month ago, I was just so focused on winning her back. But actually, through our work, he's realized this is a pattern of his. He's got his own sort of self-sabotage pattern in that he's always trying to chase validation. He's trying to win, um, not conquer, but like he's trying to sort of win someone back and feel validated in that way. And
Mm.
actually, this isn't the type of relationship he wants. So that's been a great transformation to see him go from, oh, really, I'm really desperate to get this woman back, to, oh, she doesn't actually treat me the way I want to be treated. This isn't a relationship that's serving me. And actually, I'm really happy to go out there and be single and work on myself, first of all, and then become the best partner I can be for someone who is more suitable, where we can meet each other's needs mutually and reciprocally,
Mm.
which is amazing. This is what I want for everybody. I want everyone to be in like a healthy relationship.
Yeah, that's outstanding because I think, for a lot of men that are in those dysfunctional relationships, they sometimes get to the point, and I can say this from my own perspective. I left a relationship back in April, and I was in it so deep that I couldn't even recognize the dysfunction, but I knew I was really unhappy. It was really just a time away and sort of pulling myself out of that and recognizing, well, wait a second, like, no, I deserve something different. I deserve something that's rewarding and fulfilling and challenges me for growth, but also is healthy and supportive, right? Mutually. So that's a
Mm.
great win. Thank you for sharing that. The last question that's sort of come up, and these were sort of the top ones or the most common out of the clients that I polled, but how do you
Mm-hmm.
maintain accountability with your clients?
How do I maintain accountability?
Hmm.
So it varies with the client because obviously each client is different. So I tailor the coaching accordingly. But for the most part, I have a roadmap hub. So what I call a roadmap hub, which is where we put all our sessions in, all our recordings, and they can refer to it. All the resources are in there as well. And we have a progress tracker. So at the beginning of every coaching relationship, we have a roadmap call where we discuss what their priorities are for the coaching partnership, what they want to work on. And these themes are highlighted as priorities. And then they can track by saying, how have I worked on this? What have I done to meet this goal? How have I addressed this? We kind of keep progress that way, mapped back to what their original the priorities were. And I also check in with my clients every week as well if they wish. So one of my clients, he likes to check in twice a week. So I check in with him and send messages, and then I say, what are your goals for this week? Send me your plan. I want to have a picture. You said you're going to
Yeah,
do this, but I need
yeah,
I need evidence. That kind of thing. I check in a couple of times a week and send support messages through messages outside of the sessions. And ad hoc, they can access me whenever they want. So one of my clients said, "Oh, I'm having this difficult conversation with someone. Can you send me some journal prompts for me to process this?" And I'll send them some journal prompts. And then I'll ask them a few days later, like, how did it go? What came up for you? It's tailored, but there's just
yeah.
check-in points between sessions. And then
Yeah,
there's an overarching priority where for the partnership where they can keep
right.
track of how they're meeting those priorities.
I know I find with my clients sometimes, you start with these priorities, and then once they start to move into the place of a bit of self discovery and some self leadership, those priorities change. Do you notice that as well? They come to you with, let's use it for example, the win that you had with the one client about his girlfriend, how to win her back.
Mm-hmm.
And then And then the realization was actually, no, I deserve a girlfriend that wants to be with me, that's supportive. But
hmm
do you find that is something that happens when they start to discover what's really going on? Initially, they may be like, I have some clients come to me that, because I do the fitness and wellness as well, as like, I want to lose some weight. And then we start talking, and then we realize that actually the weight is just a symptom of something else. And then we actually
Mm.
transition to a different priority or goal. Do you find that you see that?
It does happen, not all the time, but sometimes that happens. And when that's the case, I usually have a mid-partnership check-in anyway.
Mm,
So at halfway point, I'll always check in with them and say, are these priorities ones that you are still aligned with you, or do you want to change them? Do they still feel right for you? Are you happy with the progress we're making on each priority? So they have the opportunity to change it or to reevaluate and think, actually, that doesn't feel right for me anymore, or that's not relevant. And so we will just kind of do a mid partnership review and then redefine the priorities if necessary.
mm,
Mm.
cool. Great. Thank you. I just wanted to also bring in a little bit of your perspective on, and I know you touched a little bit about this when you introduced yourself on why you coach and how that's important to you. But I got sort of three questions that will give everybody listening a little bit of your perspective. And so the first question is, why did you become a coach? I mean, quite a different career. I think you said microbiology degree. Is that correct?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
So applied
uh,
sciences and then a microbiology PhD. Yeah.
okay. Yeah. So very scientific to now working with people one on one and
Mm.
and working with a whole unit as opposed to the micro unit. So tell
Mm.
me a little bit about that.
I think what happened was that during school and university, I just did what society expected and what my parents programmed me to do, which was my mantra throughout childhood was just like get good grades, go to university, get a good job, be a doctor or a pharmacist or a scientist or something like that. So that's basically what I did. I did enjoy biology, so I thought I'll just do like carry on doing what I enjoy learning about. And I
Mm,
did the university, did my PhD, and then I thought I'm going to be a scientific researcher because I like the feeling of the look of me in a white lab coat. So I was like, me in a white lab coat in a lab, that would look great. It looks
yeah.
so clever. I did do that, and then I did my PhD, and I realised, oh, actually, scientific research isn't for me. But that kind of came about the same time as me and my ex. Fell pregnant with my firstborn. It was planned. So I decided to take a 7-year career break to raise the children full time as a full time mum, and that was agreed. And so I was happy with that. But after being together for 13 years, having two kids, two houses, and doing all the things that on the surface we did right, it then sort of self combusted when I was
Mm,
planning our wedding and he had an affair. So that was a big wake up call for me. And that was my dark night of the soul moment where I just suddenly woke up and I thought, why did that happen? And why me? And I did my healing and self reflection and personal development journey. And through that, I realized that actually we weren't happy. And him having an affair was just a subconscious way to just escape the relationship through a very dramatic way, rather than us being able to maturely communicate that this wasn't right. I think we just got stuck on autopilot with the two kids, the two houses. Everything was fine on the surface. We weren't arguing. We were good friends. We ran the business of the house and the kids together fine, but we just drifted. We met when we were 21. 13 years later, we were completely different people, but there was nothing actually wrong. So I don't think we ever felt like we could separate because there wasn't really a reason to. He had that affair, which dramatically broke up our relationship. But through that, I realized we weren't actually happy together. And through this sort of awakening, I found myself. I got into dancing, so I do salsa, bachata, and kizomba. I got a whole new circle of friends. I got very deep into my own personal development. Then I had a 5-month relationship with a covert narcissist in all of this. whilst I was dating. So that was my second dark night of the soul moment where I really, really hit rock bottom and did a lot more deeper healing work.
Yeah.
And 2 years later, I just thought, I don't want other people. I know so much now, and I've learned so much about myself, and I'm just so aware of so much. I thought, I don't want other people to have to go through their own rock bottoms and dark nights of the soul to get to that awakening, to be able to go to switch off the autopilot. So
Yeah.
I just really wanted to support other people, and to be authentic to themselves. Yeah.
Wow, that's a journey, and I commend you on coming out the other side of that, and also being able to share the lessons learned, because I think that's really the whole point of this, is to be able to give back and
Mm-hmm.
hopefully help someone before they have to. I think everybody goes through what they need to go through, but there's also a healthy way to go through those things, and an
Mm-hmm.
unhealthy way, and I think that's where you come in, is with that perspective, is to be able to share the healthy way to process that. So,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
just to kind of touch on that a little bit, what's the most rewarding aspect about being a coach for you?
I think it's seeing people when they rediscover themselves and then build that confidence in themselves. That's what's most rewarding for me, when they have that realization that they are enough as they are. They don't
Mm,
have to answer to anyone else, and then they take care of themselves. I really love it when my clients actually start taking real care of themselves, not just physically, but mentally, emotionally. They validate their own feelings and they stop listening to that inner critic within.
mm,
That's what I find most rewarding, when they go out there, and like the ripple effects from their own self development work to the people around them as well is magical as well.
that's
And
great.
obviously, if they're a parent as well, that being self aware and knowing all of this, then they will pass that consciousness on to their children and break those cycles and the patterns in society.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can totally agree with that. I really resonate with the idea of breaking that generational trauma, and helping people see that we were brought up sort of given what our parents knew, and they
Mm-hmm.
were given what their parents knew. And I think we actually have an opportunity culturally now to be able to learn so much and change the future by, making an impact in our children's lives and the lives of people we touch. So thanks for sharing that.
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm going to I'm going to challenge you a little bit, and this is going to be around the topic of when you're meeting a client and excuse me, and see, I'm getting all climbed up here now, but yeah, you're meeting a client and you've had this initial conversation. I'm not sure if you do like a sort of a consultation or like a meeting with the client, and then you're met with some challenges in the sense, and I pulled three common things that come to me when I'm talking to a potential client, and I just wanted to share them with you and see how you would respond to that. So, client comes to you, you have a consultation, and you're into that point now where they need to make a decision, and the rejection or the defense of it is, I'm not sure if coaching is right for me. How would you respond
Mm.
to that?
Or I'll say, what have you tried so far and how's that gone? How long have you been feeling like this and what have you done about it? Has that been successful? A job of a coach is to make sure that you move forward. Have you been able to move forward on your own so far?
Mm,
And you've come to me with a problem, I've got the solution for you, and that's to work with me.
yeah.
And I'll make sure that we get to where you need to get to, because that's my
Mm.
job.
All right. Great. The next one, I'm afraid to commit to change.
Mm. Well, I'd say everyone's afraid to commit to change. Change is inevitable, and that's life. But the more you experience change, the more resilient you become, and the more you show yourself that you can absolutely deal with change. And soon you'll be welcoming change with open arms.
Yeah. 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 That's
You'll be
right.
like, let me have it.
The last one I have is coaching worth the investment?
100% without a doubt. Like all the best athletes in the world have coaches, all the best business people and successful people in the world have coaches because they realize that you can only do so much on your own. You only know what you know, and you can't spot your own blind spots. And your friends are not, and friends and family aren't trained to do the same. So a coach is a really valuable investment because we help you make those changes, become really self-aware, and get you to where you want to be. And you can either struggle for 3 years to try and work it out on your own, or you can invest for fast tracking to where you want to be. It's about efficiency and time or money. Money is replaceable
Mm-hmm.
and time isn't.
Yeah, it has come up quite frequently for me, and I always talk about education, right? And we're so willing to maybe go spend money on a course, university, anything like that, but then when it actually, spending money on something that's really going to make an impact in your life from a day-to-day perspective on how you show up in relationships, how you show up at work, how you show up for yourself. I always say, like, the investment, you can't not invest in it, right? Because
Yeah,
it's so important for your overall well-being and the well-being of everybody that you're connected to. So
yeah,
um,
absolutely.
yeah. All right. Well, that's Sue. I will definitely include a link to you said Instagram, I think, is when we talked before. Is
Yes,
there
same
any?
handle is
Okay.
my Instagram handle is at unfold and rise, all one word. That's
Okay.
where I hang out the most.
Okay.
I
And
do have a website as well. I forget because it's a new one, but my website is www.unfoldandrise.com.
those will be included in the show notes. And is there anything else you would like to share before we go and wrap it up?
Yeah, I'm always happy to have a free call with people if they want to find out more about coaching. I offer a free 45-minute exploration call where we can discuss where you're at in life and where you want to be. So we can just talk and see whether it's a good fit. So if you go to my Instagram, drop me a message, or it's in my link in bio as well, feel free to book an exploration call and we can discuss. I'm always happy to help.
That's great, Sue. Well, I really do appreciate you taking the time and chatting with me today. And as I said, I have specifically a client that I'm going to refer over to you for her to talk to you and see how that goes. This is a great opportunity to get to know you and for everybody else to get to know you. So I look forward to chatting again.
Yeah, thank you, Matt. That was a really great conversation.
Good. Thanks for joining me on the daily truths and the weekly wins. I hope today's episode leaves you inspired to embrace life's challenges and make the most of every day. Don't forget to subscribe and share this with someone who could use a little boost. Join me again for more insights and encouragement. Until then, remember, progress, not perfection. Keep striving, keep growing.